I'm Josh. Come on, we just started.
I'm Xavier.
I'm Ben.
I'm Scott.
And welcome to the first episode of the Josh versus podcast. It's going to be a podcast where we just talk about random questions, random events, and just get answers from fellow students here at my campus. So the first question today is cloning. Is it ethical? Should we do it? Should we not? What do you guys think?
Well, start off, what do you define as cloning?
Okay, well, I don't mean like that Dolly the sheep kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, you know how people actually went out and they cloned a sheep and then there was just another sheep?
Yeah.
I don't really know too much about that, and I wish I did research beforehand. But I mean, if we were to go up to, like, say Xavier here, all right, we injected him with a needle, pulled out some blood, and then boom, we have a baby Xavier in like a lab. Or even better, we have a carbon copy of you. So there's just two Xaviers, all right, just walking around campus. Is that right? What happens from there?
Well, first of all, I just want to clear something up. There can't really be a carbon copy of me because I already exist. To the laws of the universe, you can't have two identical objects, so this Xavier will be slightly different, either down to the molecular level, or his eyes might just be red.
Okay, well, that's an idea. And Scott, you looked like you were going to say something.
The real question is, what would we be asking Xavier before we clone him?
All right, hey, Xavier, if I was to run up to you with a needle, kind of like cuff your mouth with my hand and inject you with a needle, is that okay?
Probably not, unless I knew that you're making a clone of me, but then all means...
As I'm doing it, I'm going to say it's for the clone.
Just make an army of me and it'll be fine, because I am great for the nation.
Okay, well, there you have it. We can clone Xavier whenever we want. Just remember this. This is legally binding, this podcast.
So the only question, run up to you and inject you while covering your mouth.
The only question was, do my clones get any rights? Are they treated like people? Can they vote? Or are we considered one entity?
Yeah,
Well,
okay, so let's... Oh, sorry.
Let's
Ben.
assume you are completely identical visually and on a molecular level. So biologically, you're the same. Your bone structure, skin complexion, all of that is identical. However, just a matter of standing in two different places in a room can change your experience. So you will think differently the longer, even if we took a copy of who you are right now, eventually your clone would start behaving differently and come up with different things. And
Yeah, it's like that nature versus nurture kind of thing.
right.
It depends how you're raised.
But it would still have my DNA, my fingerprints, all of that. So if a different Xavier decides that he really doesn't like people anymore and buys a tank and kills 27 people with it, am I responsible for that Xavier's actions?
I think your clone's better if he was able to just like get his hands on a tank.
Well,
What are you doing right now?
Maybe a bunch of Xaviers work together to build a tank.
Would you work with another you to acquire a tank?
I would definitely work with another me to get a
I'm
tank.
calling the police.
now, would the clone have the prior experiences like you have, going through all years of life and your thought process? Would we make an identical clone? Would it be just like an empty slate, or would it have like the same memories and stuff as you and your personality?
That's true. If it's an empty slate, that completely changes it, because now you essentially just have a toddler in the body of a young adult. Yeah. And that's not going to end well for anyone.
No.
Like, for instance, if you had like a fear of like flying, right? And we make a carbon copy of you, right? It could be a carbon copy of you. Would that also have that fear of flying, or would it just be like, empty slate?
If it kept my mind as well, and it was that type of clone where it remembered everything I remembered, should probably also have that fear.
Okay.
Unless, you cloned it and it came out of the plane. Probably have to get over that fear very quickly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Now, we are saying some clones are different, but there has also been like studies where we have like twins at birth who are separated immediately, and then for some reason they lead somewhat identical lives. So who's to say that same thing couldn't happen if we were to say, run up to you, clone you, it's for the clones, and just make an identical copy?
Well, the thing is...
Theoretically, if that was to exist. But who knows, maybe one day it will.
Maybe, but really it comes down to is on a legal level, it's still me, because even with twins, their fingerprints are different. You can take a sample and like, hey, this is alpha A and this is alpha B. Don't name your children that.
All right, but now we gotta get back to the main topic. Do they deserve rights?
Do they deserve rights? All right, so say we have another Josh running around, all right? He's a musician like me. He plays video games like me. He has a better haircut. So he's a more perfect
I don't know how that would be
version.
possible.
I don't know how it's possible, all right? So there's just two of me. All right, but then again, I have to think like to the campus here, where it's just currently me. I don't think they would allow a copy of me to also come and like do all this because they would want money from that.
They would screw with the records. That's
They
what
would-
they do.
Yeah, and I don't think the place where I work, ShopRite, was probably gonna. Well, I mean, they probably would allow a copy of me to work there as long as it's doing its own work. But then again, it's kind of like, oh snap,
Well, who do
clones are
they
going to be
pay?
taking our jobs now.
Who do they pay though? Because you're both the same person.
Yeah.
So do you get essentially paid twice?
Does
Do
my
they pay
clone
you
count as a
individually?
separate person? Yeah.
I would argue that a clone would count as a separate person because even though biologically you're identical, your mind would not, in this case, be completely identical.
But in the eyes of the law, it would be much easier to track if they were all just considered essentially one entity. Because now you have to make a subclass for all this, and you have to find means of tracking them. And if there are no means of tracking them by either DNA, fingerprints, etc., what's next? A collar?
Yeah, that's.
Well,
Sounds reasonable.
sounds
Sounds
let's,
reasonable.
But also
hey,
thinking
let's
about
put a
it-
collar on the clones, and just add a little shock factor into it.
But also think about it like this: like for science, I believe clones would definitely help benefit us because we would no longer have to
Fight our wars.
Well, I'm thinking on a much lower scale. We could experiment on clones instead of us, because do they still count as people if we created them from, I don't know, tofu or whatever? But then it's kind of like animal testing, but it's a clone. It's made in our likeness. It's
So it-
pretty much like another me.
It would
But
be
I
made
would
to
also
die.
like to say that if there was another me right now, like Josh too, and he, like Xavier, was from to me and say, it's for cloning, I would not care what he does to that clone if it was to help benefit the human race.
So if I were to clone you 1,000 times, and each
Okay,
one
there
of
would be
those
a problem
clones,
somewhere, yeah.
each one of those clones went to a different test, and each one of them died in a horrific way. I'm talking about not just simple beheading. I'm talking about like
Disembowelment,
we
burning.
put a larva inside of it, and it felt it as it ate its innards, and it burst out of its chest like alien, and a swarm of locusts flew
Oh my
across the
God.
lab.
That's dark.
That type of death. For
Do you need
each-
help?
for each and every single clone. Would you still have a problem with it? Or would it be like, hey, okay, yeah, sure, fine, whatever.
All right, well, I feel like now there's 2 coins to this. Because one, me being the original, I'd be okay with this. But me being the clone, I'd go like, Josh, you asshole.
Now, would society be okay with that? Seeing pretty much somebody who's identically a human
Yeah.
being experimented on in brutal ways.
Can you think of like the protests for that?
A protest?
Yeah,
Clones
just
have
walking around
rights,
with like
too.
mannequins dressed as them, like,
Yeah, right.
yo, clone rights.
Yeah.
Clones
right.
have rights too.
Think about it. Why would someone make a clone? For physical labor, to do experiments on, to just
Because no cost to self.
no cost to self, right? Why do people? Why?
Hell, look at Star Wars.
Let's harken back to like medieval times when people
Okay.
would have kids to help them on the farm.
Not true.
It's free labor.
It is free labor.
You're making essentially you're putting some genes into another of yourself.
Well, assuming
not
yourself
entirely-
doesn't die in birth.
All right, Ben, I have a question. Right,
Sure.
you have the you have the machine that can clone you. All right, you walk in, boom, another clone comes out. What do you do with this fresh copy?
Send it to work.
I don't know. There could be certain menial tasks that I would have it do, and I would be able to have more leisure or more recreation or more academic pursuits, while my clone would like earn money for me or something.
But
So
think
now-
about it, like
so
if
now-
so it would basically share like your mind, your stuff. Would you be cool with that, knowing that there's another version of you just laying about playing video games or whatever, but you're out doing all the hard work?
It might be interesting from a just from a philosophical standpoint to think there's another of me. It wouldn't be the exact same mind. I wouldn't be both people. It wouldn't be one mind. It would be 2 minds that were alike.
That's true.
And I think there's a difference there. That even though
So if we were to, let's say, drug you right now, and you wouldn't realize you were drugged, right?
It's for
Okay.
cloning.
And then you just wake up one day on this bed, and we somehow managed to make a mannequin version of you that looks just like you, and like, oh yeah,
same
you're a
gorgeous red
clo-
hair.
Exactly. Like, and to tell you, you're the clone, and until he wakes up, we want you to do this. And it's a bunch of just really basic tasks, like do the dishes, do the laundry, walk the dog, cut the lawn, stuff like that. Would you willingly do that?
I guess if I had no other preconception of what the world was, if I had no other previous experiences,
You're still you.
I'm gonna say
So
personally, I would
because-
totally kill myself.
Because this is a scenario where the mind goes with it. In cloning the body, you clone the mind.
in cloning the body, you go in the mind. In that case, if it was beneficial to me, if I was getting some kind of benefit out of this. For example, why do people work jobs? It's because they get paid.
Yes, but
if this
you're not getting paid. Ben is getting paid. You're
I
just clone
see.
1. You're expendable.
In
Are
that-
you okay with that?
In that case, given everything that I know, I would think, wow, this is a horrible existence. Might as well find a way to end it as soon as possible.
Oh my gosh.
Kill the original.
Or-
Suicidal
Kill the
clone.
Or if this is a unique situation, maybe record my experiences so other people can figure out about
Learn
it.
from this.
Yeah, or it's a good
That's how you
scientific
start like a clone revolution, though.
point of science.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
World War III
World War
against
III.
me. You know what I mean? Oh man. But here's a question, all right? If I was to walk into campus tomorrow, all right, and I know we just met, it's cool, but you kind of know who I am a little bit, kind of, sort of. If I was to walk into school tomorrow and I say, hey, this is Josh 2.0, he's a cool guy, except Josh 2.0 pulls out like a shank and stabs Josh 0.10 to death, all right, hides the body, does all this in front of you, puts the knife away, like pretends nothing happens. He says, I'm now the original Josh, don't tell anyone.
Well, would
What
he
do you do
really?
from there? Yeah.
Would he really want to be Josh 1.0 since 1.0 just got murdered? I mean,
If the mind is identical-
he should still be 2.0 because 2.0 just trumped 1.0.
As the original Josh, I'm just looking for clarity, knowing that you guys would kill my evil clone.
Well, what made him evil? He just proved that he was superior. The,
Well,
the
let's
newer
do-
model is superior than the older one.
Because of what?
See, look. Josh 1.0 is your T45.
Yeah, you know, I should have seen it coming. Now that I'm thinking about
He is your T60.
Big Josh point. But what if, all right, I come out of nowhere like Josh 0.30, I shake Josh 2.0, and I reveal I'm the original. I knew that was going to happen. But then clone Josh realizes that was going to happen. So he
Oh
clones
my
himself.
god! What is this? Just constantly one upping each other.
It's a fractal at that point.
Yeah,
because
it is.
every clone clones himself, and it just becomes a mess.
It just
really.
becomes essentially a civil war of Josh stabbing
Josh
himself multiple
The Josh
times.
apocalypse.
But they're not even attacking it. They're just attacking other Joshes. So life is going on as normal. And just every now and then you just get Josh just tackle another Josh and pull out a knife.
The Josh Civil War.
But for now, let's just pretend that I was going to get along with another version of me, which I would like to think, but realistically, I would want me dead. There could only be one.
Oh my god.
But if there was another one, and I'm like, hey, you're my dude now, you're cool. Do we use like the same stuff? Like, does he have the same birth certificate as me, or does he get a new one right then and there? Does he
Exactly.
get a new social security?
the legal aspect of it, like
Yeah.
what happens? Because according to the government, by all DNA tests and everything, you are the same person. There is only one Josh Fu.
Yeah.
So, I don't think the government will give two shits until you start causing problems.
Yeah.
And-
Or Josh 2.0, he's causing problems.
Yeah. And then they'll
But
probably
you're
come to
reliable.
you, and
Then
you'll
I'm
be
liable, yeah. Because he has all my stuff.
Yeah, he is essentially you.
And who's to prevent him from just locking me out of my own home, you know? He lives with my family now. Those are my guinea pigs he's taking care. Actually, you know what? That doesn't sound too bad.
You've had them for a month and you're already tired of them?
Oh no, those guinea pigs just do nothing but chew on the cage. If I was
Yeah.
to clone the guinea pigs, I would want to kill myself.
Have an army of guinea pigs right off into the sunset.
Now, what if we go to the ethical aspect of like saying we differentiate? So we'll put like say like a branding on Josh 2.0.
Oh my God.
Or like
Okay,
a
well-
microchip or
All
something.
right, let's just make it simple. When they're cloned, their fingerprints are slightly different. There you go.
Okay.
So now you have a way of
They
identifying.
come out, I immediately start sanding their hands.
Burn.
Just burn. Yeah, just burn.
While they're
Okay.
still unconscious.
I just disfigure him immediately when he comes out of the machine.
I can see.
Give him a
Happy
scar.
birthday!
Give him a scar across the eye.
Oh my god.
I can see people getting a little upset about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people.
Maybe that's why evil clones and like TV shows have like a scar, because they've already thought about this. We need a way to figure out
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
the evil guy and that I'm the positive guy. So let's just give you an evil eye patch, and at the same time, let's screw up your vocal cords. Oh my god! You know what that makes? Wow! All cartoon people are genius. Geniuses.
Doppelgangers, man.
I think it's really for ease of access because, I mean, cartoons are a very passive medium. You know, it's just very kind of consumable and
Oh, yeah.
enjoyable. And in the reality of having just clones walking around is you really wouldn't be able to tell the difference between who an original or birth person would be and a clone or genetically or, you know, test tube
Yeah.
version of the person. You can't immediately tell.
Was
So,
something that just popped in my
this.
mind.
All right, go.
Sorry, something that just popped in my mind. So obviously, we currently know we have a population problem. So what might be regulations on clones?
Cannibalism.
Oh my god! You're literally
So-
now you're literally just breeding humans to die.
Listen. First of all,
Well,
I bet
we're
I
doing the
would
same
taste-
thing to
yeah,
cows
we
and
do
all
that to
that.
animals,
So,
so-
I mean, like,
I'm
wait,
telling you now.
wait.
Okay.
Can we process 3 humans in under 15 minutes? Because we can do that with cows.
Let's say we can.
Yeah,
All
we just
right.
apply the same thing.
This
Just
is a
don't
giant
just,
hypothetical.
just don't tell them where the
less meat
spam
generally.
actually came from.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I tell most of my
Mystery.
friends. If we were to be in a deserted island tomorrow or lost at sea,
I'm not eating. You give no meat on your bones.
well,
I mean,
it's closer to the bones. It probably tastes good.
I can maybe make you into a stew.
Do
That's
you not
it.
see my gorgeous thigh?
Yeah, and look, well, that's gonna last me what, a day?
At most, yeah. You have another day of survival to find help for yourself. I'm probably dead.
Look, man, we'll survive at least 2 to 3 weeks without food. Okay, water is a bigger priority here.
I feel like this is a topic for another time, but let's
It
just go
is.
back to the
It
quote.
is.
Bottom line, cannibalism. I know there's that
Well-
goes back to the original topic at hand. Is it ethical?
well, we only
well,
see.
not cannibalism.
Is cannibalism ethical? Send us your thoughts, please.
All right, we do have 4 minutes left, so do we have to come to the conclusion? Is it ethical to clone a human?
It really depends on what type of clone it is, because we've been so far talking about like an instant clone. You put in a machine and
Yeah.
it just pops out. It could be that we have to grow a child,
Like,
and if we're growing a child, then there's a higher chance of something's going to be different.
Yeah, that's something we can do.
Yeah, we can essentially just pop out your DNA, do a little bada bing, bada boom, add some pixie dust, and
I spit in a jar, and now there's 3 of me.
exactly there you go.
It's like magic.
It's like magic.
Just, it takes at least 18 years to get there.
Yeah. The only way I could see this being like viable, kind of, sort of, is if it's. Oh man, even then, what I'm about to
Just,
say, might
just have clones to fight your wars.
even what I'm about to say,
The Republic
may sound
already did it.
screwy, all right? If they come out like fully formed like us, all right, and they have maybe a good 24 hours, and then they just clock out, and then you could, I don't know, recycle it. And maybe who knows? Maybe that'd be cool.
Put your clone
Why-
back into the processor.
Why would,
make a
why
new
would it
clone.
clock out?
No,
That'd probably be a
just-
self-defense mechanism for us, so they don't decide like.
So they don't
I'm going
realize-
to
Okay.
take over the world by cloning myself. Ha 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 ha! 23 hours later, like I am now prepared to take over the. And he
And it
just
just dies.
dead.
Yeah.
So
That'd be a
in the
funny
instance where
image
you have
though.
to,
Like he's about to shank me. Like Josh, back to the Josh 2.0 comes out of nowhere. It's like, by the way, there can only be
it just
just
dies right
dies.
there.
He
Yeah.
just collapses on the
Okay,
floor.
but like
turns
would
back
we-
into Play-Doh.
If it only lasts 24 hours, right? Would we be those type of people that would say we want to like build a building, right? And we just want to use clones as labor? Would we just have to continually make clones for the duration of how long it takes to build this building?
Oh shoot.
Probably, but then that comes to the question: do the people who offered to have themselves be cloned, do they get paid for this, or is it all just governmental work?
I think they would.
I think it'd be
pay to
governmental
have,
work,
have themselves
yeah.
cloned. Don't you?
I would like to be paid, yes, but if the
No, no,
government,
no, you're gonna have to pay them.
if I have to pay them, I would rather not pay them because it's a clone and it's going to die anyways. But then it gets to the whole aspect. Well, now the clones are taking our jobs.
Okay, but like say okay, right? Going back to the building analogy, would we have to like have boss man like pay you to like have you get cloned like 100 times for your clone to
Oh
build this
shoot.
building?
Sorry, I've looked at the clock wrong. We have like more than 6 minutes left. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah. we have at least 10 more minutes to talk about this.
So you're talking about that. I want to build a building.
Okay, yeah. Say you work for X construction company, right?
Got it.
Your boss comes to you, right? I'm your boss. I come to you, be like, hey, I want to build a building, right? And it's gonna take like a month to build, right? I want to
What are you
use
building?
I want to use your DNA to make a bunch of clones to build it for me. So like, would you be like, would I have to pay you?
Yes, I would like to get paid for
Okay,
all of those labor hours.
That's the
I would
kind
like
of-
to get paid
But
That's
why
the
would they
kind
have
of
to
society
pay
we
you?
live in.
Why would they have to pay you if
because
your
it's
clone's doing it?
because it's my DNA.
Oh, shoot.
Technically, it's me.
it is your DNA. Oh yeah, that's a good
I-
idea.
I am working
We go
all
up to
of
some
this.
guy who's like super buff, and you can clearly tell he has a great work ethic. He can do
Yeah.
this and that. He's great. If we can clone him, we already have a lot of great people. Like back to Star Wars with like who do they clone? Like what's his name? Jango Fett, Boba Fett, one of those two.
One of the Fets. Yes.
Yeah, he was like this really cool, skilled, high-trained bounty hunters or assassins. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie.
Bounty hunter.
Bounty hunter. That's the word. And we all of a sudden have these great clones, which according to the movie don't really look too good, but apparently they're supposed to be one of the best because they're clones of this one specific person who's great at all these things.
But if going off of those type of clones, they eventually become different people.
That is true.
Because hell, you have Captain Cody, Commander Rex. They're two completely different.
Yeah, that's the nature versus nurture aspect of it.
Earlier on, you were talking about version 2.0 killing the original.
It will happen, yes.
If we're making copies of people and trying to find the best versions of people, and assuming we kind of mess around with the genetics a little bit to make them,
Better.
get rid of all
better, yeah.
those,
You're telling me you
all
have to
the
do a written
diseases, kind of
test
just
first.
smooth it all out, and make a better version of you, who's
A better
objectively smarter, stronger, more fit, less prone to disease, etc.
I already don't like him.
Better haircut.
He's better at music.
I already don't like him.
But he's not a jerk about it.
No, fuck him. He's not a real musician.
He hasn't suffered.
No. He hasn't gone through what I've gone through.
But he has.
I
He's
worked
you.
hard for this mustache.
But he's you. He has.
How is he me, though? If he's a better version of me, clearly.
But he has
he's
all
a
of your
different person
memories.
from there.
He is all your
All of
memories.
my memories. Then what's
all
to stop
the pain
him?
of making that stash.
What's
he
to
knows.
stop
We
him
don't
from
necessarily
killing
have to
me?
assume that every clone would be an instant copy. I'm just talking in general. Say we grew from nothing a version of Josh that was just
Better.
just better. Let's
Somewhat
just say
better.
it's obviously very complicated.
okay,
but
we
let's
like
just say
you, Josh.
objectively
Don't worry, I'm
better.
interested in this conversation.
And we could do this for anyone. And would each generation become better than the last?
So you're
In
cloning
terms
the
of
clone?
would humanity just kind of evolve to
So-
some
so-
kind of
So,
pinnacle?
Superhuman
so essentially,
type
you're
thing?
cloning the clone. Because the clone has the better genetics than the original. So
you
if
clone the
better
clone, and
genetics
then
than
you
that.
clone the clone that has the better,
Well, at some
aspect
point,
of
When did the clones start doing the cloning?
at
yeah,
some
they start
point,
doing the cloning.
well, at some point, it slowly become deteriorated over time because as you just keep on cloning it more and more. Because take a sound wave, right? Put it to recorder, play it back. Record that, play it back. Each time it gets worse and worse. It degrades until you have nothing but demonic screeching coming from the pits of Tartarus itself. Will
Sounds
that
about right.
happen with the genetic DNA?
I blanked out.
Every time you clone it, will it slowly get worse and worse?
But if we're going to be editing its genetics each time to make it even better, we could, even get rid of those type of little defects if we find them. We'll just get rid of them at the same time.
So you're just snipping out little bits.
Just snipping out little bits and adding a little bit more in.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
then you could just keep adding more.
Wait, didn't they do that in Jurassic Park, where they were
Yeah, probably.
missing
Yeah.
pieces of DNA, so they replaced it with frog bits, and then
Yeah.
in doing so, they didn't make the perfect clone. They made a dinosaur that could instantly detach its penis and become a girl.
what?
No, you don't.
What a power.
No, that was
What
in
movie
Jurassic
did you
Park.
see?
Because they used some type of
I
DNA
was
from
not
a
expecting
frog,
that.
and this was
Yeah?
a specific frog that could change its gender instantly. So
Did we? I think I saw it in a movie.
this was the first one I remember.
And out of everything, you remember the dinosaur that can take off its penis.
Well,
Why could you think of Jurassic World where it camouflages?
No, you went straight to the
You went
penis.
right to the penis.
well, I don't mean the dinosaurs going penis. I mean it has the DNA of a specific frog who came from Africa to get you.
Now you see it?
Now you don't.
It's the magical wanker.
Oh my
Spadaddle spadoodle. My dick is now a noodle.
Oh my god. Okay, we're getting off hand here.
No, we're not.
Now what if we go to the, I guess, opposite side of, what if we just make clones that are absolutely clueless, absolutely mindless, and just use them for labor?
Hive mind it.
Well, now you have to teach them how to do labor.
Yeah. Okay.
Keep them oblivious. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what we did.
they
with
would
slaves
eventually-
all
Wait,
the
so,
way back
so are you
then.
talking about something where you can essentially wipe the mind and give them just what they need to know?
Yeah, sort of something like
So,
that.
so they come out knowing how to build, but that's all they know how to do.
Like a
Yeah.
Malcolm
So,
X
what
kind
are
of
the-
thing.
It would become a slave
Except he
race.
became.
They would
yeah.
essentially be a slave race. You have a slave race of clones.
It's a slave race, but then
and a lot of people are going to be happy with that you essentially
What-
now
but what if
built
you
your
could-
own slave race.
What if we could even throw in some genetic editing and doing that they're nearly indestructible? They can't feel pain. They're just a labor force, almost like robots.
That's
I see a lot of problems with
yes.
that.
I'm gonna put a big summary.
I don't want
and
Deadpool hunting me down.
I'm
you
fairly
know?
certain
Let's
I
just-
cover for a lot of people when I say that's fucked up.
If we were to change this to be should we make robots and all that, I feel like this entire conversation would be much easier. Where I
Well,
feel like a
'cause-
robot, I could totally be okay with it doing my things because already robots already do everything for us. You know?
Well, there's also the fact that you don't know if the robot is actually sentient or not,
Yeah.
or is it faking it?
I feel like it's because we know the robot's
That's a whole
not
different
sentient.
discussion.
I feel like it's slightly
Because we
different
could program a robot to
Yeah.
just be stupid, but can we do that with a clone?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. But I feel like there's a whole thing about like a human going and like they're gonna go see a laboring clone, and it's like, hey, you know, that looks pretty human-like, and they're gonna have some sympathy for it.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's almost gonna be like a robot. You could see a robot on the side of the road doing something, and you're not really gonna have sympathy for it.
So what if
But
then
see a
you were
clone-
to-
I think I just solved the answer.
What if you just then
Wait,
make
wait.
it not look human?
My man,
It's
wait.
not gonna be clone.
We have the clone. We put a latex suit on it. Make it look not human anymore. Boom! I just solved the entire question.
Wait, so you said just put like a latex suit on your laborers.
Yeah, and give Josh 2.0 bunny ears. He'll love it.
They're color coded based on division.
Oh my god.
Oh my
Even
god!
better.
You have red people, blue people, green people. There you go. The color spectrum right
I'm
there.
blue. Dabba dee dabba die. Dabba
Although you
die,
gotta kind of
know?
stay away from
Yeah.
black people. You don't want to
Oh.
have a bunch of laborers of literally just no color running around.
Can you imagine like a clone, like seeing another like a division of clones going like those damn Reddies?
Those damn Reddies. Make the clones hate each other, so they're too busy fighting each other to fight you.
So you even realize the bigger problem is their
God,
original.
Dark Lord's in the making right here.
What if you kill the original? They'll copy also, guys. No, I mean that's just a hypothetical as well.
Well, then you don't want to kill the original because now you're dead.
yeah,
Unless you know your life sucks so bad that it doesn't really matter.
yeah. Ben.
No, I know we're getting kind of like on all these different tangents and all, but I think it might, assuming we grow clones in the way we know how to currently with current science, and we are able to take genetics of a person and make someone who looks like them, they would of course have different experiences as growing up, and there'd be slight defects because they're going to grow up looking slightly differently, but
Yeah.
genetically they're pretty much the same, right? And assuming this happens, I would just going out on a limb, I would assume that they're going to be given the same rights that anyone would have, because it's just like having kids, in the sense that you're still making another person that can, it's still another human,
Do human things.
can do all the human things, right? And even though they're biologically the same as someone else, they're still a different mind, and therefore they would be given different rights. Maybe some laws might have to be rewritten a little bit, but like ultimately, I feel like they'd still be people.
So
Would-
like
would you then-
specifically clone rights, like how we animal rights, human rights, clone rights.
Clone rights.
So would
Okay.
you then consider a clone just a copy of someone's mind?
I feel like it changes from there. You
No,
get
yeah,
the default, and
because
then
You're
if
never
you-
going to have a perfect copy of someone's mind.
You copy someone's mind and then you put it into a Roomba.
okay.
Is
Alright.
that Roomba is now essentially you? Does that Roomba have rights?
That Roomba's gonna want to die.
Okay, maybe not
then
a
again,
Roomba,
that's
but
not
like
a-
a fully functioning metal body.
That's a different
Right.
question. I was just
Is
talking
it
about
now-
biologically copying, not mentally, just the physical genetics, and then growing another person. I believe they would have rights. That's a whole different
That's for another episode.
That's all the way in left field.
All right. Well, we are nearing the end of the podcast. So, what do we think? Do they deserve rights? Is it ethical? Is it right?
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't think we're ready.
Oh, we're
definitely not.
We're
Say
humanity.
we were.
Okay, we're humanity. We destroy anything we can, but
and we would destroy ourselves, and we already have.
Oh yeah.
exactly. But overall, clones should get rights.
All right, Ben.
I agree.
I agree as well.
right.
There you go.
Clone,
Guys,
clone rights.
you hear it here first. We're advocating for clone rights.
long before it's about to happen.
Long before.
All right. I guess
First
I'll be-
clone
okay.
rights sympathizers.
Patent pending. Pay us money.
All right. Well,
Yep. What do you think? Let us know.